The learn continues as colleges and universities in mid-Missouri start to have students return to campus for the fall semester. One of those being the University of Missouri, where classes are set to start Monday. This morning we are joined by Dr. Moon Choi, the president of the University of Missouri System and Chancellor at Mizzou. Thank you so much for being on with us this morning.
Good morning, Molly.
So first, as students are heading back to school on campus, there is a scenario laid out in the Show Me Renewal Plan in which the university is prepared to go back to online classes. And we've already seen some other colleges like UNC and Notre Dame having to do that. What will determine whether MU does that?
So it's not going to be based on a single number. Our experts, we have about 130 experts who have been formulating the plans for Show Me Renewal. And they'll be looking at data that includes the education of our students, faculty, and staff in preventing the spread of disease, but also watching and monitoring the spread of disease itself, and also understanding what is the infection rate and what is the hospitalization rate, and potentially what is the mortality rate for the conditions that we face. And then on top of that, because we run our own hospital, we want to know basically how much PPE supply we have on hand, as well as the ability to treat patients that need hospitalization. So unlike what happened in the spring when we closed the campus with just one infection, we're going to be looking at a variety of factors that include about 20 metrics. And but in all of this, the health and safety of our students, faculty, and staff, and the community members is going to be paramount.
And with those spikes at other colleges restarting, are you concerned with that happening here as well?
We're always concerned about that, and that's why the education component is so key. The education component is really to reinforce the importance of washing hands, wearing face coverings, as well as social distancing. These are the CDC guidelines that have proven to work. And so making that point very clearly with all members of our community, that that's the safest way for us to protect the important things that we want to do, ranging from teaching in person as well as research at the university.
And how is the university working with local and state health officials in order to mitigate that spread from students to the community in Boone County?
Absolutely. And we're working very closely with the Boone County and Columbia health experts. And we are coordinating not only the testing capabilities that we have within our county, but also the contact tracing. So we've hired about 15 case investigators and contact tracers at the university to work very closely with the Boone County health officials so that once we know that there is a positive case, that individual is placed under care and the contacts are identified and also quarantined as necessary.
And what information about those positive cases and testing will be made public, and how are you guys planning to do that? For example, like the number of cases in one specific dorm, or how many students are in quarantine at one time?
That's right, and we're going to be announcing that as part of our new website that we're going to be launching on Monday with all of the information that will be provided that we get from the Boone County health officials. At the same time, I have to mention that we cannot release individual information because of HIPAA and FERPA regulations, but we will provide aggregate data so that we're transparent with the community.
So a lot of people are waiting in anticipation to root on the Tigers this year. Can you talk a bit about, will there be fans allowed at sporting events, and what will football look like this fall?
Well, football on the field is going to be the same, but in the stadium, it will be slightly different. And that's in relation to the new reality that we face. So we expect about a 25% occupancy rate so that fans can be spaced out so we can have the proper social distancing. But we are very excited about football returning with Alabama coming to town on the 26th.
Yeah, definitely. Will there be some sort of lottery system for those tickets? Have you figured that out yet?
And that's our athletics department is working on that now to ensure that we have a variety of different fans that come to our games, including students and longtime donors and supporters have had tickets since 1960.
Awesome. Good to hear. And if the SEC does decide to cancel or postpone sports, what would that mean for athletes at Mizzou?
Well, I think it will be devastating for the athletes. I know that the football players have indicated that they all want to play in a safe environment. And with the football players, we have testing protocols that SEC has implemented, as well as access to our own hospital, like all of our students. So we are doing our best to keep them safe. But unlike other students, there's a lot of contact, as you can imagine, in football. And so social distancing cannot be maintained. So testing is a very important protocol to keep our student athletes safe.
And are athletes going to classes in person this semester, or are they planning to do online?
I believe they are doing things the same way as our other students. There will be a combination of face-to-face or what we call blended classes with face-to-face and online and purely online. And currently, we're at about a 60-40 split between 40% online and the balance of it being face-to-face / blended.
Awesome. And with the 20% limit for students and staff going to events that you announced on Monday, would that apply to places like football games or bars or parties and Greek life even?
Yes, it will. And in our Greek town, I'm very proud of our IFC and members of the sorority groups that have announced that they're not going to have events because the 20% limit will actually affect the types of events that they've had in the past. And so that is a preemptive measure, and they did that in recognition of the health and safety of their members. So I'm very proud of them.
When someone gets COVID-19 in a dorm, what will that response look like, and who will be considered close contacts to a student?
So in a situation like an infection for a student in a dorm, the contact tracers from Boone County as well as the University of Missouri will identify those who have been in close contact, which is defined as 15 minutes with a separation of less than 6 feet. So the most likely individual will be the dorm mates of that individual, and that person will either be tested or quarantined. And the important thing is that once there is a positive test, the individual that tests positive will be moved to another facility that can address the condition that person is in.
And speaking of those separate facilities and housing for students who do test positive or students who just have to quarantine because they were exposed, can you describe what that will be like and how much do you have of that at the university?
Currently, we have about 60 beds that are available for that purpose, but we do have contracts with hotels in the region so that we can expand that facility. On top of that, the hospital, during the height of the pandemic back in April and March, as we were preparing for the pandemic, we were able to get 400 beds ready for COVID patients. So we do have the capability to address a breakout or resurgence, but we hope that with the proper education and following the guidelines of CDC, that we will avoid those types of resurgences.
And will that different housing come at any extra cost to students who have to go into that?
No extra cost to the students, absolutely.
Great to know. And how much has it cost the university to get campus ready for this semester? I know there's been a lot of changes just with extra additions for safety.
Absolutely. And we are still gathering the numbers, but our message to all of the leaders at the university is that finances are not a matter of concern at this point when we consider the health and safety of our students, faculty, and staff. But just in supplies alone, we've had to purchase several $1 million worth of PPE. All of the rearrangements for the facilities, including classroom and research labs and offices, also incurred significant personnel costs. In the end, we're going to add that all up, but at this point, we are giving the green light for all of the leaders to purchase what is necessary to keep our community safe.
And you were just talking about those rearrangements of classrooms and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about what that will look like this fall?
Yes, and if you were to go to any of our classrooms that are in, let's say, Middlebush Hall, there will be not styrofoam, plastic wrappings around certain seats so that we have proper social distancing. In many of the large lecture rooms, like Jesse Hall Auditorium, will have locations where students can sit, and so that we can have proper 6 feet of social distancing from all of the students. And the same goes for common areas in the library or the residence halls, and including the dining facilities so that we have proper spacing. But when students, faculty, and staff are inside of buildings, they will be wearing masks.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Choi. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for this morning. We appreciate you being on with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
You too.